Welcome to another episode of Live from the Archives, highlighting the holdings of the Peters Township Public Library archives. I'm Nancy Martin, the library archivist, and today I wanted to talk to you about the display that will be outside of the second floor reading room for the months of January and February. And what we're highlighting these 2 months are photographs from the album of Anna Vrhovsek School. The photos in the collection date from the 1920s until about 1950. And Anna immigrated to the United States from Germany with her family in 1913. She was the oldest of 4 Vrhovsek children. So Anna was born in 1909, and then she was followed by Joe Jr., then Mary, and then Joanna, known as Jenny. And we know from some records that the family spent some time in Bethel Park, and then by 1930, they were living on the north side. And you might be wondering, well, what's her connection to Peters Township? And that is that on June 18th, 1936, Anna married Valentine School, a lifelong resident of the village of Hackett. And she moved to Hackett to live with him, and they raised their family, their 3 children there. And this wonderful photo album was donated to the archives by Anna and Valentine's oldest son, Dutch. Thank you so much to Dutch. And Dutch was born in 1937, and you will see him featured in this display, though he looks very different than he does now. So just to make the display a little more digestible, I divided it into 3 sections. A section called Anna Vrhovsek and Family. Vrhovsek was Anna's maiden name, so this is a section of photographs before she was married. I then have a section entitled Anna and Her Sisters, and that's because it's clear from the contents of the album how close Anna was with Mary and Jenny. There are so many pictures of the 3 of them together. And then finally, I have an Anna School and Family section, which shows photographs from just before Anna and Valentine's wedding through raising her children and stopping in about, like I said, 1950. So first, let's look at the section of the Anna Vrhovsek and family before her marriage. And the very first photograph is a portrait of Anna, who has her hand on her dad's shoulder. Her dad's name is Joseph. And then beside Anna, you can see her brother Joe Jr., her sister Mary, and standing not on the porch steps, but on the ground, her youngest sister Jenny. And I made a really exciting discovery about this photograph and the next few that I'll discuss just last week. And that was that, as I mentioned in the intro, we knew from the records that by 1930, the family was living on the north side. But this picture and the pictures that follow show almost like a little village, and I was trying to place like where that might be. So I just came across online Anna's father's naturalization certificate from 1926. And it turns out that at that time, the family was not yet on the north side of Pittsburgh. They were living in Coverdale, which is in Bethel Park. It was a mining community situated around where you will now find Miners Park and the industrial boulevard area of Bethel. I am a resident of Bethel Park, and I drive through that area all the time. So if you're familiar with the area at all, you will recognize the houses in the backgrounds of these photographs. Many of them have had lots of improvements and additions through the years, but some of them still look very much the same as they did 100 years ago. So for me, that was just, as a resident of Bethel Park, such an exciting discovery. So as I said, the first picture is a family portrait. Moving on, the next 3 pictures are all also taken at the family home in Coverdale, almost in the exact same location. The second photo is of Anna's father, Joseph. There is not any mention or photographs of Anna's mother in the album. One official record I came across mentions that Joseph is a widower, so I'm assuming that Anna's mother was deceased, which is why she does not appear in any of the photographs. Joseph, once the family moved to the north side, worked as a factory worker. He was born in the former Yugoslavia in 1883. The next 2 photographs, the young girl wearing the glasses is Anna's sister Mary, and then her brother Joe Jr. is basically almost in the same position. When you see these pictures, please note the wooden sidewalks. I just am so fascinated, and I think we don't stop to think about how many small things are different than they were in the past. And then the fifth photograph is of Anna's youngest sister, Joanna, but like I said, she went by Jenny, at a later date and in a different location. But here you can see images of all 4 Vrhovsek children. Then at the bottom of this first section are 2 of my favorite photographs of Anna. They're just super cool. The first one shows her all dressed up and posing with a very flashy car on what I can only assume is the north side. That photo is from the 1920s. And then from 1930, we have this fantastic picture of her posing inside a wicker rolling chair, which were designed to be pushed by paying tourists would pay someone to push them around the Atlantic City boardwalk in these chairs. And it says Atlantic City right across the front on a pennant, and she looks kind of sun-kissed, and it's just a really awesome picture. The second section, Anna and her sisters, has only 2 photos in it. The first one is from 1929 and is a formal studio portrait of Anna with her sisters, Jenny and Mary. Please note the awesome 1920s hair and the flapper style dresses. This is our director, Lacey's. This is one of her favorite pictures. And then the second picture is from 1934, and it shows Anna, Jenny in the middle, and then Mary on her left on the north side. And I think that this is a photograph that was taken on Jenny's wedding day to Eddie Pesavento, who was a local bartender. Moving on to the third and final section is the Anna's school and family section. It's also the largest section of the display. So this first photograph here is from 1933, and it shows Valentine's School and Anna together. What's amazing about this photograph, which makes it another one of my favorites, is that the Heinz factory can be seen in the background. So they're posed right beside the river, and across the river and in the background is the Heinz factory. So it's a very Pittsburgh photograph. Something else to note is that Anna and Valentine dated for many years, and this was the 1930s during the Great Depression. So one of the reasons they probably dated for so long before getting married was a financial issue. The second photo in this section is Valentine and Anna from 1935, taken the year before their wedding. They're posed in front of a car, and I just love how happy they both look in this image. It's fantastic. Next to that is a picture of Anna by herself from 1936, which, as I mentioned, was the year that she married Valentine. Then we have a picture of the South Park racetrack from 1938. You might think that's really weird. Why did you include that image in the display of Anna Vrhovsek's photos? And the reason is that there were a couple of pages of these photos. And right away, I recognized the South Park racetrack. It really hasn't changed that much in 100 years. And so after doing some research, I learned that from the 1930s until about 1970, the Allegheny County Free Fair was held every Labor Day weekend at South Park. I'm sure some of you, many of you, visited the fair. And so, yeah, that's when these photos were taken. So I just think that's a great local event, and the fact that it's present in her photo album is wonderful. The next photo is of a baby in a high chair, and this is Edwin's school, Anna and Valentine's eldest child. Edwin goes by Dutch, and it's Dutch, as I mentioned, who generously donated this album to the archives. The next photo is a studio portrait of Edwin in 1938. He looks very handsome. He's a toddler at this point, and I just like the contrast of the more formal portrait with the less formal portrait on the porch in his high chair. The next photo is of Edwin in 1940 on his sled in the snow, and beside that is another photograph from 1940 of Edwin taken with his mom Anna and father Valentine. And it's just kind of one of their first family portraits, I would imagine, of the 3 of them together. And the last picture in the display is of Anna with her children. So she had 3 children. The eldest was Dutch, born in 1937. Then there was a daughter, Betty Ann, and then there was a daughter, Mary. And in this final picture, Anna is posing in front of the house that the school family lived in the village of Hackett in Peters. So please come take a look at this wonderful display. And if you'd love to see more of Anna's pictures or to see any of these pictures live and in person, please get in touch with me through the archives website, which is ptlibrary.org/archives. I would love to arrange for you to come and visit and see the album for yourself. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Dutch and Beverly School. Beverly is Dutch's wife, for their support of the archives and for donating this absolute treasure to us here. Without the support of the community, the archives wouldn't exist. So thank you, Dutch. And that's it for today, another episode of Live from the Archives. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.